So today I'd love to share with you two different colour forms of the same type of orchid. These are a fairly recent addition to my collection, so I can't take credit for the blooms. They were in spike when I purchased them, but they're both simultaneously in flower at the moment, and that is Rhynchostylis Gigantea. So this type of orchid is native to deciduous and coastal forests in Southeast Asia, so countries like Thailand, China and Indonesia. They are intermediate to warm growing, so I do have both of them inside at the moment in my apartment over winter. Generally, they like daytime temperatures of around 18 to 28 degrees Celsius and overnight between about 18 down to about 13. It's currently been getting below 10 degrees here in Sydney this winter, which is quite cool. And this is from Roland Orchids, who is a grower in Queensland. So I did bring them inside because I purchased them a couple of months ago when the weather did start cooling down, and I didn't want to give them too much shock having moved from Queensland to Sydney. So yes, they are here hanging up by this window. So this one, as you'll see, I purchased it as a Rhynchostylis Gigantea cartoon. Personally, I think it's not cartoon. I think it's Rhynchostylis Gigantea red, but I'm still really happy with it. They are fragrant. This one, they're quite perfumed. It doesn't really smell that sweet. It's kind of a little bit sweet, but a little bit peppery, almost kind of plasticky, I guess you'd say. And the other colour form I got at the same time, which the plant is a tiny little bit smaller. Oh my gosh. This is the Alba form as well. I don't know if you can see that. Very beautiful, very similar obviously in their flower shape because it is the same species, but really dainty. I just really like the Alba form as well. It seems to me, I'll give you a few close-ups, but it seems to me the Alba form, the flower, the labellum actually opens up a little bit more than this red or cartoon or red form, whatever you'd call it. I'd call it red. So tiny differences, but other than that they're quite similar. They do have quite similar fragrances as well. Yeah, I'd say the red form's probably a little bit of a stronger fragrance. The red has also been open a tiny bit longer than the Alba form as well. In terms of potting, I haven't repotted them since I purchased them. They are both in, well, this one's in a plastic pot with just chunky bark, and this one's in a little mesh basket with chunky bark as well. So they are vandaceous in their growth habits, so they do like to have a lot of air around their roots and sort of cling on and be able to dry out in between waterings as well. So at the moment, I've been watering them roughly every 7 to 10 days in winter. If I had them outside, I would probably water them less because it's been quite cold and you don't want them to be cold and wet at the same time. They do also quite like a lot of ventilation and aeration around their roots as well. So as it is inside, and I do have a heater on the opposite wall, we have had the heater on basically every day, not all day, but every evening or every morning for a couple of hours. So when I do have the heater on, in order for these not to dry out, I do have my humidifier behind me on at night, and I do have a little pedestal, oh my gosh, nearly ripped that, pedestal fan as well, just to keep the air circulating. Also while you have the humidifier on, to keep the air circulating in winter so that you don't get mold or anything like that unwanted in your house. It is also fairly normal in winter to have some leaves drop, as long as it's the bottommost leaves. So you don't want any unhealthy leaves at the top here because this is your newest growth. But as you can see, I'll just turn it around, this leaf here is starting to fade, which is fine. That's a normal part of the plant aging and continuing to grow. Same with this little one here. It also has a little leaf that's starting to fall off, but that's fine. You don't need to stress about that. And in terms of fertilizing, I haven't fertilized them at all this winter. They don't have a harsh dormancy, but they do have a little bit of a period of dormancy like many other vandaceous orchids throughout the winter months. Their growth sort of slows down, their active root tips tend to sort of harden off and they're not continuing to grow through the winter, which is also why you reduce the watering, because they're not needing as much water over this period of time because they're not growing as quickly. And as a result of that, I do stop fertilizing as the weather starts cooling down and I start to notice they're transitioning into more of a light dormancy. and I'll resume fertilizing once the weather's warmed up, hopefully when I've moved them back outside. They're drying off a little bit quicker and I can see them starting to come out of that winter dormancy. In regards to light requirements as well, Rhynchostylis Gigantea like bright indirect light. As far as I'm aware, they don't like harsh sun, like direct sunlight, so I wouldn't put them anywhere in direct sun. But on my balcony, I get a little bit of semi-direct sun first thing in the morning, but throughout the day it's just bright indirect light. And a good way to know as well, kind of back to the watering, if you are watering enough, the leaves are very like thick, dense leaves. They're very nice, and they're quite shiny as well. I don't know if you can see. So as long as the leaves are nice and plump, if all of the leaves are drooping like this one was, you'd probably say not watering enough, or you're possibly overwatering and have killed some of the roots, and therefore the roots can't sustain the water that you're giving them. They're not feeding the plant enough. So it sort of depends, but keep an eye on the roots and the leaves to give you a bit of an indication of the health of how your Rhyncho is doing. But yes, sadly, I cannot take credit for the blooms because they were in spike. But one thing Rob from Rollin' Orchids did tell me when I bought them, because they were in spike, the buds hadn't opened. He did mention that if I had them outside, their buds probably wouldn't open until springtime sometime when they notice the weather's warming up. They'll just keep nice and tight while they detected that the weather's cold. So I thought I'll try them just keeping them inside the whole time since I bought them, because it's a little bit warmer in here, and the buds did continue to develop and they have since opened, which is fantastic. So that's another tip for you. If you leave your Rhynchostylis outside over winter and you notice they start to get a spike, it may be a few months until they open, so you can always bring them inside if you've got the room, and as long as they're not sitting directly in front of a heater for a really long period of time, or if you have little tricks like a fan and a humidifier, that also helps. Alrighty, well that's it for today's video. Please give me a like and press subscribe if you would like to see more of my orchid content, and pop a nice comment down below if you'd like to, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!